everyone. I'm your host for today's evening, Trishika Lethrajani, and today I'm gonna take your interview and welcome to the book meet. Okay, do we have Hitesh Abrol?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. Hello, how are you?
Fine, ma'am. How are you?
I'm also good. So shall we start with your interview?
Yes, ma'am. I'm ready.
Yeah. So your first question is, tell us something about yourself.
As you know that my name is Hitesh Sabro. I
Yeah.
am from Pathankot. It's in Punjab, and border area is there. This is my very first debut book that with the name of Life Planned or Unplanned.
Okay.
I wrote it. Yes.
Okay. So, can you brief about the book that you have nominated? Like, tell us something more about it.
Actually, I have nominated my book for the non-fiction category. Basically,
Okay.
this book is about my experience about the life. The incident that happened with me few years back when I was traveling from one place to another, and I met with one of my friends
Okay.
who talked to me and conveyed me that I should actually I am into the marketing profession, pharma marketing basically. So he met me after a very long gap and told me that he thought that I would be at some higher
Yeah.
position. So this thing has discouraged me a lot,
Okay.
and at that time I thought that whether I should live my life in a planning or I have just wasted my time. So I was a little bit you can say depressed at
Oh,
that time. So this book goes with the incident with my experience of the life, that what I have discovered that one should go with the flow. Either you have the plan, go for it. If you don't have the plan, then go with the flow.
that's great. That's a really good message, though. Your next question is, why do you think that you should win this competition?
Basically, I am not taking it as a competition. This is like writing a book is like delivering a baby, and you always think that your kid is always better than any other kid. That is the reason every author think that his book or his work is always better than any other. So instead of taking it as a competition, I think I am here to just to show my skills, that I have what I have done is good as per my opinion.
Yeah, great. So, huh, like, I would like to ask you, in your opinion, why number of writers in India overall has declined over the years, and what is the best way to make India read?
Yes, in my opinion, actually, the time has changed, is getting very fast, and now technology has taken over the all other things. Like the writers in our profession, we can say that audiobooks are in more in season these days.
Yeah, exactly.
So that could be
And
the one of the reasons. Yes, yes. And Netflix or any digital platforms. So and time for a lot of people, they have less time, so they wanted to read the things very quickly and do the things very
yeah,
fast. That could be the problem, and reader base is getting low these days. This is the basic problem.
like they don't, want to give time to like 1 week or 2 weeks for reading one book, and they, want to just finish it off all
Exactly.
together.
Patience level has been decreased. Why people
Right,
are
and
not
like
going to the
time
cinemas?
convention.
Because if you see that cinemas have been decreased, people, they don't want to waste their 3 years. They will just stream it on Netflix, because whatever they wanted to see, they will only see that
Like
part
the
only, and
company
not the
sitting
100%
at
of the
home and
movie.
the secret.
Exactly, exactly,
Yeah, like it's a very huge problem for writers that reading mainly is declining.
exactly, exactly.
Yeah. So we can move to our last question now. Uh, our last question is, how important is marketing of a book to you?
As per my persona, marketing is very useful thing. Moreover, I am from a marketing field, so I can better understand, because I can understand that every author knows that he has given his best.
Yeah,
So material is good, but if reader does not know that this book is for what purpose, or it has been written, so how can he would be able to understand that he should buy or purchase or read this book, particular book? So marketing is very important these days for any perspective.
okay. So that's right. We are done with your interview. I hope you enjoyed talking
Yes, thank you,
with
thank you,
us.
thank you very much.
Thank you so much for joining.
Thanks.
Okay, so do we have Reds?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah. Hello, sir. How are you?
yeah. I'm fine. I'm fine. Good evening.
Good evening. Shall we start with your interview?
Yeah, sure, sure.
Okay. So, can you please introduce yourself? Tell us something about yourself.
Well, my name is Baxter Akim Joseph. I'm an engineer. Right now, I'm
Okay.
doing LLB in criminology at Dubai. Well, I was nominated for the book Baxorexia of a Naughty Dirty Brat. Like the book is all about it contains 13 poems and few quotes. Well, that's this is my third book, and it's a kind of partly continuation of my second book called "It's Too Big to Grab." That's a fiction, and recently it has been selected for the best fiction book by the Indian Hours Foundation.
That,
So, like, yeah, there's a link between the this Baxorexia and the "It's Too Big to Grab." Like, only if we read "It's Too Big to Grab," like we'll be getting what I really meant in the chapter 3 of the second book.
yeah,
So that's it. Yeah.
that's amazing. So, like, can you little more brief about the book that you have nominated? Like, what does it mean?
Oh, well, actually, when I was nominated for this award, like I was like super excited. I mean, the reason is like if definitely my book will be getting a free marketing like when it get nominated. So that's the thing I want. What I want it's not it's not the thing like I want to get the
Okay,
award so that I'll be getting a moment or something like that. The thing is, my book should be marketed by you guys.
that's amazing.
Yeah.
Okay, so your next one is, um, how do you get inspiration to write so well?
Uh, well, I started my writing after joining for LLB. Actually, there was a person who was with me. The person was a stranger to me. Like she came into my life and she left me with an abstract leave, and that's how I started getting into writing. And it was a nice experiment. Like I was giving myself a white torture in Dubai, and from there I started writing and I don't know why. By God's grace, my second book was get noticed by many people, and it was like many people read it, and I was getting like kind of motivation to my next book. That's how like I write my third book, and like yeah, people are getting. I mean, I'm getting a lot of positive reviews on the for the book, and like inspiring me. Like the positive reviews are like criticization are like inspiring me to do more. Yeah,
That's amazing.
yeah,
That's really amazing. So we'll move to your next question.
yeah.
Um, what is your advice to young writers who are just starting the like,
Like
budding writers?
actually, the backstory of like the nominated book is like 13 poems, and that poem, like that book is like it contains two villanelle, two sonnets, two haiku. Like the old, I mean, the rule, I mean, the poems, different kinds of poems are written in there. So my advice is to the young poets are like, if don't forget the traditional poem, the types of poems. Like everybody is going for the free verses. So the thing is
Yeah.
like every poem has a kind of uniqueness. Like if we are writing a sonnet, like it has 14 lines, and you have to keep a rhythmatic pattern. So the thing is like the new generation young poets like do have to research on the poem, that like the traditional poems, and please do just accept it and just kind of bring some modification with the time.
Like
So please,
uh,
yeah,
free sonnets are better than free verses.
I can't hear you. Hello.
Like the sonnets are very much a better form of poems.
Yeah, I mean, I'm still confused. Like right now, we have different kind of application to
Yeah.
correct our form. I mean, when Shakespeare wrote different sonnet, it was like I was just thinking, how the hell did he write such? I mean, with the exact syllables, with the exact rhythmatic pattern, the exact use of words. It's so amazing that he wrote, I mean, so many sonnets. The two sonnets which I wrote, like it took more than 2 weeks to write two sonnets, and like it's so amazing that during that time is so. I mean, we can't just think about. I can't even think about like writing a poem without the modern technology.
That's
Yeah. So
yeah.
uh, actually,
That's
your net.
amazing.
Uh, is it the
Yeah.
network between me or like which one is not working? I
I
can't
just
hear
hear
you.
you coming clearly
Yeah.
to
Okay.
me.
Fine.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah. Yeah. Fine.
Okay. So then we'll move to our last question now.
Yeah.
Okay. So last question is, what is your writing schedule like? Like, how do you balance everything?
Uh, actually, I don't have a schedule. Like, I usually write at a late night after 12 a.m. Like, before writing
Okay.
something, I'll be doing a paka research on what I write, because the people who are reading my thing like should be aware of the facts that I want to convey. So I'll be doing a thorough research before I'm writing. So I'll be reading enough stuff that will be giving the readers a new knowledge that they can relate something. So even if I write a poem, like I'll be adding some stuff, like even the words, the usage of words. Uh, I mean, recent time there are more than 2,000 plus words have been deleted every year. So the thing is like that we have to update. I mean, we have to go through the different words, like I mean, just update with the new world. So like we have to read a lot, we have to introduce them to the new world. I mean, the readers have been decreasing every year, so we have to like make them active in this reading world.
Amazing. Yeah. So we are done with our interview. Thank you so much for joining, and I hope you liked the convo. So, do we have Pradnya Kulkarni?
Hello.
Hello, ma'am. How
Hello.
are
Good
you?
evening.
Good
I'm fine.
evening.
What about you?
I'm also good. So, can we start with your interview questions?
Yes, yes.
Yeah. So, can you please introduce yourself?
Yes, I'm Pradnya Kulkarni. I'm a passionate writer and author of 4 books. My first 2 books are self-help books, Majestic Power Edition 1 and 2. It contains inspirational quotes,
Okay.
and my rest 2 books are poetry books. One of them is Eye of Mind, which is a poetry book, and it contains 54 poems on various topics like feminism, on beauty of nature, beauty of relations. And my recently published book is Dark Holds the World. as the name suggests, yes, A Dark Holds the World is my recently published book, and it is a quick read book of 20 poems. And as the name suggests, it's a spooky, spooky book, means horror books containing spooky poems. This is all about my book, and more about me is I am from Akola, Maharashtra.
Okay.
My husband, yeah, my husband is in bank service. I have a daughter, a 14-year-old daughter, and as my daughter's, my husband's job is a transferable job, so every after few years we have to shift from one city to another. So currently I am in Amravati, but my previous graph is I was in Nagpur, in Mumbai, in Akola for a few years, and now I'm staying in Amravati. So this is all about
That's great.
me.
Amazing. So, can you tell us something about the book that you have nominated?
Yes, my book Dark Holds the World is nominated for Cherry Book Award Season 4 in category Best Book Poetry. And
Yeah.
yes, this is a horror poetry book. It contains 20 spooky poems, and you can enjoy reading spooky poems. It's a quick read of 20 poems. And interesting fact about this book is you will find a lot of story books in horror category, but you will find very few uh, poetry books in horror category. So this
That's
makes
great.
my book unique. So this makes my book unique. So
Like
this
there
is,
are very few books which have horror poems. Yeah.
yeah. It contains 20 spooky poems, and while reading the poems, you can feel that you can visualize, you can feel that airy environment.
Amazing. Okay, so your next one is um, which book have you read recently, and how much did you like that book? Any recent book you read?
Not recently, but in the past, I have read a lot of, means actually what I love children's book mostly. Means
Okay.
yeah, means which I most like is which everyone likes actually, Harry Potter series.
Yeah,
So this one is my favorite, which I always love to read.
Harry Potter is amazing.
Yeah.
Okay. So your next one is what is your advice to young writers who are just starting up?
Yes. Um, Actually, writing is a skill.
Yeah.
So whatever you write it from the heart. Pour your emotions into the words. Make your readers visualize your words. And writing involved a lot of things like consistency, uh, choice of words, imagination power, deep thinking, observation, habit of reading. So work on all these factors to become a good writer.
Amazing. That's great. So we'll move to our last question now. And our last question is I would like to ask you that how do you get inspiration to write so well?
Yeah, actually, my inspiration is my daughter. Actually, she inspired me to write, and she always inspired me to write well. Yes.
That's very sweet. Okay, so we are done with your interview. Thank you so much for joining. I hope you liked our interview.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so do we have Dr. Vasudha Kapoor?
Yes. Hi, Krishika. How are
Hello,
you?
I'm fine. How are you?
I'm good. Good. Thank you so much for having me here.
We are great to have you. We are pleasure to have you. Thank you so much for joining in. Okay, so can we start with your interview?
Of course, yes.
Yeah. So can you just tell us something about yourself?
Of course. Hi, Krishika and everyone. I am Dr. Vasudha Kapoor. I am a doctor by profession. I have just graduated as an MBBS 2 months ago, and I am
Okay.
from the beautiful state, hilly state of Himachal Pradesh. As since we're all writers here, so as it would be obvious, I am an ardent reader and a writer. I love
That's
writing. I have written a lot of poetry. I have written a lot of articles. I even have my website. I write blogs on that. And this, High on Happiness, is my first book, debut book. It's a non-fiction self-help.
that's amazing.
Yeah.
So can you please tell us about the book that you have nominated? Like brief about the
Yes,
book.
of course, of course. This is a book. It's called High on Happiness. It's a self-help non-fiction book. So it's an illustrated guide to breaking the cycle of overthinking and negative emotions. So the thing is, I believe everyone, I mean, you, me, everyone at some point in our life have,
Yeah,
gotten low because of our emotions.
yeah.
Everyone. It happens to everybody. I mean, there's no exception to that. So around a few years ago, it happened to me also. I mean,
Okay.
there were a lot of reasons, breakups and studies related to studies, everything, even friendships, toxicity in friendships, those
Yes.
minor things that we as adults would say, oh, what is this? Get over it. But for a student, a college going student, a teenager, that would mean the whole world for him or her. I mean, that is something that would shatter, make or break his or her life. So, what I realized was that if that happened with me, that could happen to anyone else also. So, I decided that I would write a book, sharing my own experiences, and presenting to all of you in front of a book. So this is a book. I mean, I didn't realize that it would get such a good response. I got response from teenagers as well as people well into their 20s and 30s
Wow.
also. I mean, so that is why I decided to nominate this book, because I thought maybe because of this I could reach more people and help more people with this.
That's amazing. That's really amazing. Okay.
Thank
So
you.
your next one is yeah. So your next one is what is your writing schedule like? Like how do you balance things,
Okay,
writing
yeah.
and your syllabus studies? Mhm.
Yeah, I mean, this is a very good question, really, because I started writing when I was in my internship. And during a medical internship, you have 12 and 24-hour postings also. At a time, you have a 12 and 24-hour shift also. So, what I tried to do was I used to wake up early, like around 6, and I used to write for
Okay.
2 to 3 hours. It was my set schedule. Whatever my duty was, I used to wake up at 6. I had my chai and I used to
Yeah.
keep a glass of water with me with my laptop and everything, and I used to write. That was like, that was a sense of deep meditation for me also, I believe, because I was in a state of complete focus when I write. I can't write with people and noises around, so that was my schedule. That is how I
That
wrote.
gave you peace at that like, writing.
I'm sorry, could you repeat that?
That hour used to give you peace while write like that was a
Yes,
very
yes.
calm.
Yes, it was a very calming. Writing has always been a very calming process for me. Whenever I'm anxious, I just go on my laptop and I start writing. It helps me peace, calm, and everything. So maybe yeah.
Um, so your next one is um yeah. In your, I would like to ask you this. In your opinion, why number of writers in India overall has declined over the years, and
Mm.
what is the best way to make India read?
Hmm. So I have a two-part answer to this question. My generation, I mean, our generation. I am like 23 right now. So uh, the people around me, like how people treat writers or even readers, they call us nerds. They call you names. They call you, oh, she's writing, she keeps writing. Maybe she's a very bookish person. She's not a fun person to be around. Oh, she's not very socially, she's not a popular girl. She's always in a book. She always keeps writing. So that kind of criticism sometimes gets to you. You can't help it. Even if you're very strong, you can't help it. It sometimes gets to you. I mean, I have heard so many times that you are a nerd. You are a nerd. You're such a nerd. You always keep reading. You read your medical books, then you read your self-help books. I mean, how can somebody read this much? And then when I decided that I would write, I people were like, how boring can somebody be to even think of writing a book? I actually got those comments. I'm not so in our generation it is very difficult to stand out in this perspective, and everything is Instagram reels and TikToks. Everybody is dancing around and moving around.
Amazon.
Yeah. So, and secondly, because of that, because we try to copy Western culture a lot, we try to copy TikTok and influence and these reels influencers. So we try to do cool things which are supposedly cool. So that is why writing has declined, and hence reading has declined subsequently. And to increase this, I believe we should make this thing as cool. So what I've done in my book is I have incorporated illustrations and action tables and pictures in the book inside, so that a person who doesn't read normally, is not a reader, should also be comfortable reading this book, because it is a very light read and it has a lot of pictures and action, so that he could feel the difference. So I mean, this is a step I think we can take as writers.
That's great. That's actually great. Like people, that like like small children, like people that attracted to images in the books, like image is good, so the book will also be good.
Yes, 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 yes. It's a tendency, yeah.
Yeah. So we'll move to our last question for today.
Yes.
How do you get inspiration to write so well?
Okay, so my inspirations, I've been a writer since I was in school. I mean, I used to write a lot. In school, we had English articles, so I used to write those letters, creative writing. I used to like it a lot, but I never thought I would become like an author or something. So when I entered college, there was a lot of anxiety and everything around me. So I started venting myself out through writing. Whenever I need to calm myself down, I write. So then I realized maybe this is my creative edge. This is where I shine. So I read so many self-help books over the time. I realized if something as trivial as overthinking and negative emotions can have such impact on me, why not share it with the world? Why not use my creative edge to share it with the world? If had it been I was a great dancer, I would make Instagram reels on that. But I myself am a writer, so I think that's how I can use my voice.
That's amazing. We are done with our interview. It was lovely talking to you.
Thank you so much. You too.
I hope you liked our convo. Thank you for joining.
Yes. All right.
Okay, so do we have Anantari?
Hello.
Hello. Yeah, hello, ma'am. How are you?
Yeah, I'm fine. It's nice to be here.
Yeah, actually, your voice is lagging a bit.
All right. Is it better now?
Yeah, it's better now. Okay, so can we start with your interview?
Yes.
Yeah. So can you introduce yourself?
Yes. Hello, everyone here. I'm Anam Tariq, and I am a poet from Aligarh, India. And I have been writing poetry since quite a few years now. And I did my MA in English last year. And right now, I am occupied in promoting my poetry collection, which is A Leaf Upon a Book. It was published by
Wow.
the Start Publishers, and it was released this year in February 2022. So this book of mine is a collection of 25 poems, and it includes poems on a variety of themes, on diverse themes, so that the book can relate to all kinds of readers. So I have included poems on the themes of childhood, time, age, and parenting, and themes like a mother and daughter bond, nature, environment, and different kinds of relationships, etc. So I have focused on different kinds of themes, and you'll also find poems. You'll also find sonnets, odes, and haiku in my poetry, and there is a dramatic monologue, etc. So that's all about my book. And apart from that, right now I have launched my newsletter, the Words Rich newsletter on Substack. So I'm currently the editor of that. So I'm working on that right now and occupied with it. It's a weekly newsletter and freely available for anyone who would like to subscribe. It's a miniature literary magazine of sorts.
That's amazing. That's really amazing. So, this is the book that you had nominated.
Yes, A Leaf Upon a Book is the book that I've nominated. It's my debut poetry collection.
That's amazing. Okay. Uh, so then we move to our next question.
Yeah.
Your next question is, which books have you recently read and how much did you like them?
Yes, I generally like reading books belonging to historical fiction or the mystery and adventure genre. So recently I read a book, in fact, two books by Tracy Chevalier, A Single Thread and The Burning Bright. Burning Bright. So those two books were the recent books that I loved very much, and they both were set in a past. They were set in a historical period. So I really loved reading them. They like helped me visualize the earlier periods, like the time of during the World War I, which was the setting of Single Thread, and then Burning Bright was set in the 19th century England. So these historical fiction give you a visual and image of the past, how it used to be then. So it's very interesting to read about different times and different scenarios. So I loved reading those books. So yeah, they were a good read.
That's amazing. Okay, that's very great actually. Like, very few people read about historical things, and it's something that everyone should know. Like, everyone should at least know the history of India.
Yeah.
Okay, so your next question is, how important is marketing for a book to you?
Yes, I think marketing remains an important element, because if you do not do proper marketing of a book, then the book does not reach a large number of people, a large number of readers. So, correct marketing, correct strategy is important. So, I also focused on that, and my publisher, Lead Start Publishers, since they are traditional publishers, so say they have also helped me in promoting my book and in placing my book in different physical bookstores throughout India, across India. So they have done their part. Then I'm also trying at the same time to promote my poetry collection in different ways. So my book has received quite a few reviews from book reviewers and other people, etc., etc. And I have been giving a few interviews and live sessions also regarding my book. I've given 4 to 5 live sessions so far. Then this is one another opportunity that I got, and I think it's a good platform to market my book, to be nominated in the Cherry Books Awards season 4. So that's one another thing through which I can market my book. So I am really right now focusing on promoting my poetry collection, and I've received a very well response, and I'm really happy about it.
That's great. Okay. We'll move to your last question for the day. Uh, how do you get inspiration to write so well?
Yes, basically, being a poet, I have been inspired by quite a few poets, and some of my poems are, in fact, written by being directly inspired by those poets. So, a few of my favorite poets are like William Wordsworth, Shakespeare,
Yeah.
A.L. Tennyson, Robert Browning, and few of them John Keats, etc. So these poems have been inspired by them, and I look up to those poets. They really give me ideas to improve my poems. And I believe that any young writer who starts writing should look up to the earlier writers and take inspiration from that. It gives you a lot of ideas and inspiration. So, for example, one of my poem, Children in the Park, which is there in my poetry collection, so it was inspired by T.S. Eliot's minor poem, New Hampshire. So similarly, two or three poems of mine have been directly inspired by poems by earlier poets that I have read. So these poets have been my inspiration.
That's amazing. Okay, so thank you so much for joining, and it was great talking to you.
Yeah, same here.
I hope you enjoyed the interview.
Yeah, I
Thank
just
you.
love talking to you,
Okay,
and the
so
questions were nice.
thank you so much. We also yeah, we also had Miss Meera Khatija, Jemima Jonah, and Geetika Bachi for today's interview. And I would like to thank you all once again for joining today's book talk, and it was great talking to you all. And now you all can leave the meeting.